Do you
Business
Nazareth.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar.
do you work?
business owners and
Famoso, Italian pizzeria.
business owner
Sports fan. Sports fans.
business owners and marketers.
Okay, we know you. Sports fans.
This is a test pattern. This is
Business owner
Famoso.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for your patience. And we're ready to rock and roll. 902-518-3033 is the Western Dodge text line. And thank you to Kevin the Medium for riding shotgun with us here today. But it's just you and me for the next 40 minutes of the program today. And then Mike Kelly will be joining us in hour two, the the commissioner of the reinvented Continental Football League. Here's a sports update on this Thursday, specifically for you, Tony and Cochran. The Toronto Blue Jays wrap up their three-game set with the Houston Astros this afternoon at Rogers Center. Toronto opened the series with a 10-inning 4-3 win Tuesday, but dropped a 3-2 decision last night. Kevin Gausman gets the start for the Jays with Christian Javier on the mound for Houston. Thank you all for spending your day with us as you get ready to watch the Blue Jays this afternoon. This is the one thing that I hope and pray for this show is that, when the games come on at night, I can't wait. I'm sitting there all day waiting for them, and I enjoy them, and I enjoy the commentators, and it just makes me feel good. I hope that you feel good spending 2 hours with us during the day getting ready for those games and talking about them, because let's be honest, we're not splitting atoms here. And it's not life or death, which reminds me, I dabbled in the political commentary today. And I'm not going to do that right here, but I will after I finish the sports update. Week 2 of the NFL season kicks off tonight at Lambeau Field, where the Green Bay Packers welcome the Washington Commanders. Green Bay opened its season with a 27-13 win over Detroit, while Washington started with a 21-6 victory against the New York Giants. Newly acquired Packers pass rusher Micah Parsons, a two-time All-Pro in Dallas, is expected to see more snaps as he goes after Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels tonight. Now, that is the Associated Press story on the game, but here you go, Brent in Wellington, Florida. If you're tuned in now, we got through all that Canadian sports talk that you don't like, now into the NFL. And I watched the game with him on Sunday, the Packers and the Lions. And Micah Parsons, there was a thing scrolling across the bottom of the ticker today on ESPN that said, does Micah Parsons make the Packers defense elite? And I'm like, well, he didn't on Sunday, but he didn't need to. They manhandled the Detroit Lions. He played, I think I saw 45% of the snaps, registered one sack, because we're looking on the field going, where is he? Where is he? He was wearing number 1, not number 11 like he'd been wearing in Dallas. Does he make their defense elite? They made the Detroit Lions look like an RMF team without him on the field for over half the plays. So I guess he does make them elite. They didn't really need him. The PGA Tour's fall slate opens today with the Procore Championship in Napa, California. Patton Kizzire returns as defending champion. Canada is represented by Mackenzie Hughes, Adam Hadwin, Adam Svensson, and Ben Silverman. And Savannah Gruel of Mississauga, Ontario, and Hamilton's Elena Sharp are the Canadian entries at the LPGA's Kroger Queen City Championship, which tees off in Hamilton Township, Ohio. New Zealand's Lydia Ko is the defending champion. The sports update is brought to you by UFZ Moose Jaw. From jerseys to trading cards, Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store is your fan cave headquarters. Visit them in Moose Jaw or click over to ultimatefanzone.ca. I'll say this about Elena Sharp. I've always been a huge fan of hers ever since 2018, when shortly after the Humboldt Broncos crash, she displayed a Humboldt Broncos team logo on her golf bag for that entire LPGA season. And she was very popular at the LPGA event in Regina at the Wascana. I love me some Elena Sharp. Okay. Yeah. Jeremy writes in, he goes, waiting all day for Sunday night. Yeah, these are long days waiting for the games. And that's why I know that this show is very valuable in the sports talk world because, well, number one, people enjoy the interactive nature of it. We keep you company, and it's not as expensive as the game rights. We'll just put it that way. Thanks for tuning in on Game Plus TV today and the various other platforms where we are featured. Okay, well, I just said I dabbled into political commentary only so far as this. Everything's changing because the world changes. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just stay static and things wouldn't change forever? Well, a lot of people want that. That's not reality. And this show's growing. This show's expanding. The core concepts are there. But I knew that when we made this decision to go Canada Sports number one, U.S. Sport or hour one, U.S. Sports hour two, the great folks at Game Plus TV wouldn't care because they've always liked the show. And going back to 2019 when we started 2019 was when we started the talks to get on Game Plus TV. 2020 is when we aired. They were watching the show for a couple of weeks. I didn't even know. And at that time, it was all Saskatchewan topics. But they were like, yeah, we'll carry it. It's good. And then it says grown to Canada-wide and now North America-wide. They're good about everything. And now I'm taking the next step as a guy that lives in the United States for 9 months out of the year to talk a little more other things. But I'm not going to pick a side politically. You know, I said when we opened this show in hour one, and here we are almost running out of time of hour one. When we opened this segment one, the big story was 9/11. And I'm observing that today primarily to honor the people that lost their lives that day 24 years ago today, the 2,977 in the terrorist attacks. But frankly, the bigger story is Charlie Kirk and his assassination yesterday. And I'm kind of sitting back watching this on both sides of the border. He had a lot of fans. He had a lot of haters. He was an extreme right-wing political activist, the founder of the Turning Point USA movement. He's the face of the youth right-wing movement across America. And he was shot dead speaking on a Utah campus yesterday. And I'm not condemning the left like those that are. What I'm condemning is the intolerance and the hate that pervades both sides of the border. I'm past this, can't we all get along? You know, that's the question that I put on our Facebook page this morning. It was a rhetorical question because I know that we can't. But the fact of the matter is we're going to have to, even if we don't get along. My good friend Tammy from Calgary wrote into, I guess it was Facebook, and she said it's pretty sad when somebody has to resort to murder to get their point across or protest something. As my 12-step sponsor Bob says about death, well, that's permanent. And he says that tongue-in-cheek, but it's like, you know, we live in the recovery world where people are taking their lives all the time. It's always an option. As Bob says, well, that's permanent. We need to find a way to get along is what we need. And in that commentary, you can go to rodpedersen.com right now and read it. And Joe puts it up, I think, on our YouTube page. I'm not sure where he puts it, but people seem to dig it. And I said, there's one phrase that I like. There's a few, but one is, whether you're right wing or left wing, we all belong to the same bird. And a real big one is a guy that's a commentator every day, now in both countries, is you have a right to your opinion. We all do. You're also not immune to the consequences of your opinion. And I'm not just saying this in the case of Charlie Kirk. It's in the case of anybody That's why I'm kind of sitting here watching Luke Wilson on the CFL on TSN, the Seahawks Super Bowl winning tight end. Just now he's going after Bob Irving, the voice of the Hall of Fame voice of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I mean, it's so offside. And then, but when you look, like, Bob's entitled to his opinion, just like Luke's entitled to his opinion. But this war that they're having, and after the events of yesterday, it's like, guys, is it really that important? The Bills and MLSC partnering. That's all. We need to find a way to get along, is what I'm saying, because this is clearly out of control. Hey, I want to thank Gary in Winnipeg, who texted in yesterday and said that he broke the story on this show that Zach Caleros wasn't going to play this week, that Chris Strebler was taking first-team reps with the Bombers. Gary writes in, he says, "Good morning, Rod. I totally agree with you. Talk about a game that has been played or a game that is scheduled to be played. As soon as sportscasters start speculating and carry on with the what-if scenario, I change the channel." So well, Gary, I guess that's why you're here, because we'll spend a little bit of time on the will McDavid sign or will he not, which we did yesterday. Like, I'm not an idiot. Everybody's talking about it, so we have to talk about it, but I'm not going to sit here and beat a dead horse for an hour or two on the same bloody thing. And this Sidney Crosby thing, I would be stunned if he left. And I'm pretty sure the only thing that would dictate that is if Sidney wants to leave. The Penguins aren't getting rid of him. I don't care. There is a difference, okay? There's a stratosphere of players. Crosby's in one that he gets to decide whether he goes or not. What happened with Gretzky in '88 in Edmonton that was a different time. You know, Connor Bedard coming out of juniors in that stratosphere too. He got to decide whether he was traded or not. I still don't quite understand that one, given his age, but some players are bigger than the team. And in the case of Sidney Crosby, he is. Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba writes in, he says, "Hi, Rod. Crosby would leave the Penguins only if Mario approves." Yeah. See, I don't know. I'm a little jaded on these things. I'm trying to be less jaded, but I kind of sit back and go, okay, well, Sidney's done a lot for that franchise. Helped them win 3 Stanley Cups, captained them, made them a lot of money. Sort of like if he wants to leave, he should be allowed to leave. You're saying Mario as president and part owner would have to okay it. I'm not going to say that you're wrong. Mario has, I think, the great perspective of a guy that was not only a player, but was a superstar player. So he's been exactly in Sidney's shoes. And I think we all know the story that when Sid was a rookie, he lived with Mario. So I could see the two of them saying, or Mario saying, "You want to go? Okay."
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers.
Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hour 2 of the RP Show on a Thursday. It is September the 11th, and that is going to come up here in the Quick Six Show topics as we re-up them in seconds. We're coming to you live on the Game Plus Television Network. Coming up this hour, we'll be joined by Mike Kelly, the longtime NFL, CFL, XFL, NCAA executive coach, now the commissioner of the reinvented Continental Football League. It'll be a big football chat coming up in the next segment. I want to thank you, Tony from Cochrane, Alberta. You're heaven sent. We're on the same wavelength here when I look at the Quick Six Show topics. The big story, as far as I'm concerned, 9/11, 24 years today. Where were you moment? An hour ago when Kevin the Medium was with us, I said where I was. I'm not going to go through that again. But I'm observing it because everybody here is in America, but also 2,977 people lost their lives that day in terrorist attacks across America. That does not include the hijackers and terrorists who lost their lives. We don't include them in that total. I was at the Rams fundraising breakfast. That's all I'll say. And remember talking about that with Dan Farthing and Frank McChrystal in that where were you moment. Tony from Cochrane writes in and says, September 11th, I was working for an American company in downtown at their head office in Calgary in a course when the news broke. Surrounded by Americans from Tulsa, Oklahoma was rough. Everyone crying, etc. Yeah, well, I went from that Rams breakfast to Rough Riders to the football facility, and everybody was crowded around the big screen, and we had a player, Rocky Henry, whose uncle was a security guard in the lobby of one of the World Trade Towers, and very stressful time for everybody, so I wanted to acknowledge that today. That's one. Two, we spent a long time, in hour one on the Canadian Football League, so you're welcome. And as we move towards September 29th, when we go to air in Las Vegas daily on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, part of Fox 5 Las Vegas, we'll be moving to more U.S. topics. We made our Week 1 picks. We talked about the breaking news coming out of Winnipeg today. Zach Caleros will not play Friday night's game at Hamilton. Chris Strebler will get the start for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who are trying to avoid a third straight loss against the number one team in the East, Bo Levi and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Later on Friday night, Ottawa at BC, and then another doubleheader on Saturday, Edmonton at Toronto, followed by Montreal at Saskatchewan. Our picks are brought to you by Pump Jack's Cathedral Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Pump Jacks. Thank you to them for hosting our NFL kickoff last week. Speaking of NFL, Boy, this is rolling way too well. Point 3, the Washington Commanders are paying a visit to the Green Bay Packers tonight in Thursday Night Football in the NFL. The Commanders enter the matchup coming off a 21-6 win over the New York Giants last week. Chris from the Bronx, biggest Giants fan I know. If he's watching, even you, Chris, got to admit the Giants didn't look good in that game. And it's the Giants at the Cowboys on Sunday. We'll spend far more time on the other games tomorrow because tonight there's one game. It's Washington at Green Bay, and the Packers are 1-0 following a 27-13 victory over Detroit. We dabbled in this a little bit last hour. We can get into it next segment with Mike Kelly if time allows, but it was a question this morning on ESPN. Does the addition of Micah Parsons make the Packers defense elite? Last week against the Detroit Lions, it already looked elite. And Micah only played 45% of the snaps as he was just getting assimilated from what we're told. He'd have played more, I guess, if they felt he was prepared. He'll be more prepared by tonight, I would think. Ew. Should be a fun game. There were some notes here on the NFL that I had written down, but there's also news. San Francisco 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy is a long shot to play against the Saints on Sunday due to an injury. Coach Kyle Shanahan says that Purdy couldn't practice after getting hurt in a season-opening win at Seattle. If he can't go, Mac Jones will start for the 49ers. Does that affect your betting? Saints might not win a game. Here's one that I can spend some time on. The Kansas City Chiefs are downplaying emotional outbursts during their season-opening loss to the LA Chargers in Brazil. Star tight end Travis Kelce confronted right tackle Jawan Taylor, who was penalized 4 times. Later, linebacker Drew Tranquill had words with defensive tackle Chris Jones after a crucial mistake. Chiefs coach Andy Reid says emotions are part of the game, but acknowledged the team came out flat Friday against the Chargers in Brazil. The Chiefs have a Super Bowl rematch with Philadelphia on Sunday. To tie all of this in together, another question that they talked about this morning. It's nice to get back into my routine in the States, and that is running at LA Fitness, having the big screen on the many televisions. And one of the things scrolling across the ticker on ESPN was, who's it a bigger game for this weekend, the Bears or the Lions, both of whom are 0-1? How about throwing the Chiefs in there? Because 0-1's bad, 0-2 is a lot worse. And then 0-3 is really bad. And so back to these Chiefs having their outbursts on the sidelines. I'd kind of like to get Coach Kelly's opinion on that. Mike Kelly coming up in the next segment. I'm really seeing, and I don't know why it's so clear now for me, more than it ever has been, that the fans really, and the fans and the media are way more together on that side than where the coaches and players are on the other side. I used to think the media was closer. They're not. Unless you're a former player in the media, you don't have any idea what's going on the sidelines or what's going on. Like when there's an argument amongst the players, I equate it to a family. It's actually a good thing. If you're verbalizing your thoughts and it leads to an argument, it's better to get it out. What's worse, not talking at all. And we've seen that on some teams. What's worse is when they're not talking about it at all. But I'll get Mike Kelly's thoughts on that because, again, every week, great games in the NFL. The Patriots are here at the Dolphins on Sunday, and they were talking about that on the radio this morning as I was driving to the gym, which I swore I wasn't going to listen to the radio this week as it would be nothing more than Dolphins whining, and that's entirely what it's been. But I can't help it. You know what it's like. You jump in your vehicle, and that's what the radio was on. And last week, as I was driving up to Wellington, I was listening to the Dolphins game, and in the first quarter, they were already fighting on the sidelines. They went on to lose 33-8. Here we go back to fighting on the sidelines. Is it good or is it bad? I think in the case of the Dolphins, it's really bad. But they're not a 3-time Super Bowl winning team like the Chiefs. Big difference. Dolphins dysfunctional? I don't think the Chiefs are. Anyways, you've heard me if you've been watching this show for any amount of time. Joe Rose, man, he is the biggest personality in Miami media. He played for the Dolphins. He's known as Marino's tight end. Joe Rose. played many years as the prime target tight end for the Dolphins and like very close friends with Marino. But he's also the radio color guy, does a morning show on Miami Sports Radio, and for years did the Supper Sports on the NBC affiliate. Anyways, I can't believe the stuff that he says. As a guy that called games for decades, football and hockey in Canada, I wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes saying the stuff Joe Rose says every day on the Dolphins. I can't believe it. But anyway, I was talking earlier about who's bigger than the team. Sidney Crosby's bigger than the Penguins. Connor Bedard's bigger than the Regina Pats, and maybe even bigger than the Blackhawks. And Joe Rose is bigger than the Miami Dolphins. I'll tell you, that's the fact, because anybody else would be fired. But I was laughing this morning. He's picking apart the Dolphins, and then he's like, well, we got the Patriots coming in here, and they got their own problems. Yes, they do. It's the Toilet Bowl here on Sunday at Hard Rock Stadium, the Patriots and the Dolphins. Who wants to lose less will win the game. Anyways, those are just some of the NFL notes. See how we could sit and talk about this forever. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in, he says, NFL talk time. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah. We can do it. There's a lot of people far dumber than us talking NFL every day for hours. We can do it. Did a solid 20 minutes of CFL talk last hour. You're welcome. There are other leagues. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, if the Chiefs fall, we all know who will get blamed, a certain singer. Every time they lose one game, or maybe two, people are starting to blame Taylor Swift. That's not new. I'd like to think we're out of that, but it's 1:11 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain. You are supported. I haven't dropped in on the text line for a while, 902-518-3033. It's brought to you by Western Dodge. Drive with confidence. Shop Western Dodge. Financing, selection, and service you can count on. Pause for the cause. Robin in Coquitlam, BC, writes in on the Western Dodge text line. I appreciate you regarding the senseless death of Charlie Kirk yesterday. I say senseless because it's a political assassination. I can't believe there are people applauding it. I just talked about this at the end of hour one, so I'm not going to go too far down this road here. But Robin writes in, he says, and here's the thing, I'm not pro-right, pro-left, pretty much right down the middle, to be honest with you. But more than anything, don't like to argue, don't want to fight, don't have the energy. Very inclusive guy here and program. And I know there are a lot of people that are never going to be that way, so we just need to shake hands and part ways. Robin says, hey, Rod, I want to say that debate is healthy. Whether you agree with someone's views or oppose them, people are allowed to have their opinion. Sad loss of life. Now, to follow that up, the reason this person was murdered is mainly because of your right to bear arms, in my opinion. See, that's the dangerous road for me to go down. Because I've just made it very clear, I'm not right or left. I'm right down the center. But I would say mental issues are the reason Charlie Kirk is dead, not the right to bear arms. But I know that nobody's going to agree with that, and that is as far as I'm willing to go down that road. Wayne in BC writes, and he says, as long as Kansas City has Patrick Mahomes, they will be a threat to go to the Super Bowl. That's the thing. Is he even 30 yet? You all know that Troy Aikman is my guy, and I like anything Troy says, I go along with. I really do. But I remember when people were comparing Mahomes, to Troy Aikman. I think I was listening to the interview one time, and they're like, hey, Troy, do you think he's going to come after your records? Aikman's like, talk to me when he's got 3 Super Bowls. Right now he's got 1. Well, now he has 3, so that's just Aikman for you. Who the hell was I talking to the other day? He was a football guy. And he'd been watching the Cowboys documentary, and he goes, well, Aikman came across as kind of arrogant to me. I'm sure he is. He's a quarterback. They all are. Not only do they think they're smarter than all of us, they are smarter than all of us. The poll question today is one of two hockey topics we've brought up. Point 4 in the Quick Six show topics is we're completely off-roading here. I'm seeing the speculation of Sidney Crosby being traded somewhere to the degree that he had to address it at the player media tour in Las Vegas a couple of days ago. And Sid's like, hey, we missed the playoffs 2 years. I get it. Or is it 3? He goes, trade speculation is going to happen. So quite simply, the poll question today for EMJ Marketing is, will Sidney Crosby finish his NHL career as a Penguin? Spoiler alert, I'm voting yes. And if you were watching last hour, you would know that. This is why Scruffy and I are good for each other. He put me in my place last hour, or yesterday, when I said that the speculation on NHL coverage from NHL media people is in Canada is the worst in sports. And Mitch is like, no, it's not. It's NFL is at least as bad. Exhibit A, Aaron Rodgers and all the drama around him. So, okay, Scruffy, you got me. Still too much for me. And there were a lot of people writing in last hour saying they agree with me. Like, I would rather talk about the actual things that are happening, the games, as opposed to what could happen. That's just a waste of energy. And I know there's a lot of people that love that. I simply don't. The other hockey point was just about the Vancouver Canucks. We have so many viewers out in Vancouver. Our ratings tell us that. Our viewer mail tells us that. And yeah, we don't talk about the Canucks a ton, but Kevin the Median was on with us last hour. He's a Canucks fan, hosts the Hughes Sports podcast. I said, I have them missing the playoffs. He and his son, Jake, who host that podcast, and they talk a lot of Canucks, they're from Vancouver, are very upset with me that I picked the Canucks to not only miss the playoffs, but finish last. Listen, if you're upset with me, get in line. Take a number. There's a long list ahead of you. And I can tell you how much that concerns me. Not much. Point 5 of the Quick Six, the Toronto Blue Jays play this afternoon in the finale of their 3-game series against the Houston Astros. After taking the opener in 10, Toronto fell short of making a comeback Wednesday night in a 3-2 loss. Kevin Gausman taking the mound for the Jays, while Christian Javier gets the start for the Astros. Point 6 is randoms. We can get to those later because Coach Mike Kelly, or shall I say Commissioner Mike Kelly, he's got to change his Twitter handle. Joins us next from Stuart, Florida. A really, really, really great guy and a football icon as far as I'm concerned. Mike Kelly will join us next to talk about the reinvented Continental Football League, his new role, and NFL and CFL and maybe college. He can talk about it all. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live podcast, and 1700 Mission Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers.
Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. As a preamble, the Continental Football League on Tuesday announced the appointment of Mike Kelly as commissioner of the newly reestablished league. A former college quarterback and coach with more than 45 years of experience spanning the NCAA, CFL, NFL, XFL, and player representation, Mike Kelly brings a rare depth of expertise to guide the COFL into its newest era. 45 years, Coach? You're not that old.
Yeah, I'm going to be 68 in February. I'm going to start drawing Social Security, man. But this opportunity came, and it just, I can't tell you how I got re-energized. It was just all of a sudden, everything makes sense about this. We've been talking about it for over a year, and now it just all kind of came to fruition. And football, the mafia and the football are the same to me. Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. So this is good.
Yeah, well, congratulations. I know how that is. To be honest, I was a little disappointed with the reaction to the news from our viewers, and you won't be surprised by this. They're like, oh, yeah, another spring league. And I'm like, I guess that's predictable. Have you got that?
Yeah, I did, and I understand it. But we're not another spring league, and I've tried to explain that to some people in Winnipeg already, and on the site CFL Chatter and that type of thing. We're not looking to compete against the NFL or the CFL or the UFL if that survives. We're looking to be a feeder system. We want you to think of AA minor league baseball. Okay, that what the original Continental Football League was designed as a taxi squad for NFL and AFL teams. When I was a little kid, my dad used to take us down to Municipal Stadium in Waterbury, Connecticut, and we watched the Waterbury Orbits, and they wore the same uniform as the Jets, and it was a awesome experience. And so what we're looking to do is get into small towns that are underserved, all right, that don't have the opportunity for an NFL team or a CFL team, to create a sense of community. We're going to have fan engagement, fan ownership. Okay, I'm still a believer in the Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, and Edmonton models. I think they can work if they're handled properly. Green Bay certainly is handled properly, and make it a more community, small town. Let's go cheer on our local heroes, because we're going to have regional rights to players from high school and college. So it's a completely different model than what everybody thinks right away. We're looking to give kids an opportunity to play in the CFL.
Well, if anybody can do this and oversee it and make a success, it's you. I got to be honest, when I read the news release, I'm like, oh my God, community owned. This isn't going to be like fan controlled. The fans aren't calling plays, right? That's not what it is.
You know me better than that, right? You've known me a long time. I'm not letting that happen. No, it's
Oh
just,
my God.
we just want them to feel like they're a part of it. And we want kids going to elementary school with their local teams jerseys on, that they have local heroes. And we've looked at the NFL or the European soccer leagues model for fan engagement and ownership, and we've already we've got everything in place with the trades commission, all that stuff, and so you're going to be able to be a part of it. You're going to have ownership and you're going to have a voice.
Cool. Okay. Oh, Paul Jones is calling you. What are you guys going to talk about? That head scout of Canada's team. You're outed, coach.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for the football people that are watching, and they're already writing in here now, let's get to the nuts and bolts of it. What are your rosters? Where are you going to draw from? Rules? Go.
Okay. We want to be regionally based. Right now, the response to this has been tremendous, and well, what I want to do is we want to build a really solid foundation before we do anything, and we got to corral this and do it right. Okay, rather than pouring a foundation, we want to build it brick by brick, and I think that's been the problem with other leagues is they try to do too much too fast. So we're looking at 4 teams in the north, 4 teams in the south, regional travel. Okay, going on buses. There's not going to be no overhead where we're flying all over the country. So the 4 teams in the north play a home and home. The 4 teams in the south, then we play 1 against 2, and the winner of that game plays each other. So that'd be the only real major travel that would be involved during the whole season. We want to regionally have the rights to certain areas, so each team will have. We haven't specifically gotten to it, but they'll have a number of local universities, and then the high schools within that area. They have the first right of refusal on those players. But we're going to have a regional draft and a national draft, and the whole idea is to give kids that would normally have be a difficult time for them to get visibility. We want to give them a chance here now, and we're going to play NFL rules, but we are absolutely looking at. I am absolutely enthralled and intrigued with the Canadian Elite Basketball League. The CEBL, I think, is awesome. And I when I was the head coach of the U.S. national team and we were playing in Edmonton, I took the whole U.S. team to the Edmonton CEBL game, and the kids had a blast. And I was so impressed by the whole atmosphere of it, and to see what Mike Morreale has done in producing that league. I want to talk to him. I want to see where what exactly he found as pitfalls, and so we can avoid those. But I'm really impressed with what they've done, and that's what we've been doing, is reaching out to all different types of and the minor league is a word that so many people don't really know how to define. It's just not. We're not going to be that corporate entity. We're not going to be that stand behind. I use the term stand behind the velvet rope kind of thing. We want families to walk with other kids, with other families in the neighborhood, down to the municipal stadium, get a hot dog for $1 or whatever, and watch a game. Be right there in a cozy area. Revive some of these local municipal stadiums that have been sitting empty for years and years. So give a shot to a local community. Get them involved in something they can call their own, and let the kids that are playing also get involved in the community. And who knows, they stay in town. I mean, shoot, half the government of Winnipeg is turning into ex-Blue Bomber players. You never know. These guys go there, they end up staying and being involved. That's what we're looking to do.
That's, to be honest, I didn't want to just bring you on because you're my friend. I wanted you to explain this and sell it to me, which I knew that you would, and to our audience. And Rob in Vegas writes in, he says, great to see you, Coach. He's from Winnipeg, Rob in Las Vegas. He says, all the best in your new venture. Ken in Mississauga, Ontario says, can the community support the Ironmen have in Wheeling, West Virginia, be duplicated elsewhere? It's interesting you say about the cheap tickets, the cheap food. The Dolphins here, the tickets are hundreds of dollars. Rob went to a Raiders game, $500 US for preseason tickets. Is that kind of what you're thinking here? It's priced itself.
Yeah,
the NFL is too expensive.
None of that makes sense. Who goes? I don't know any regular person that goes to the Super Bowl. You can't afford it. It's ridiculous. And we just want to have a nice time in the summer. In the States, Memorial Day weekend is the weekend after Victoria weekend, and we want to start right before Memorial Day and be done by the third week in July. 6 games. We'll play a preseason game against an outside team, some type of semi-pro type team, just to get a good practice in. Play each other home and away. Then one plays 2. The winner of that plays each other in a championship game. But make it affordable. Make it fun for a local community that otherwise is underserved. If I'm living in some small town and the NFL team is 2 hours away and I want to go to a game, you're looking at a full day of travel. You're looking at all the expenses just to get there, and then they're going to charge you $12 for a hot dog. Are you kidding me? That's not realistic anymore. I don't like it. Football is a grassroots game, and that's what we want to get back to, is that grassroots community, have some fun feeling. And you've been to AA games and in minor league baseball. It's a blast. It's so much fun. When I go back to Winnipeg, I always try to catch a Goldeyes game. And that's really what people should be thinking about, what we're trying to do here.
I like it. I like it a lot. And it's interesting, I've been down here 5 years now. I talk to people about the popularity of college football, and somebody said to me, look at the biggest stadiums in college football, Knoxville, Columbus. They don't have NFL teams. That's their NFL team. So you're looking for communities that don't have that, yet they have the stadium, basically, right?
Right. There's a lot of small towns, I'm talking about 100,000 people or less, that have an old municipal stadium that has been neglected. And we're trying to find those places. So let's revive the stadium. Let's get that community feel where everybody's coming down to the old stadium again and have some fun. And that's really what we're looking to do.
Oh my God, this is going way too fast. I have some actual other league questions for you, other than to say, what's next for the Continental Football League that people will be following now? What are they going to see?
Well, we announced today that the Ohio Valley Ironmen are they're going to be our flagship. They're the first team that we're announcing. They did a tremendous job last year. We have the blueprint. When we onboard teams, we have a blueprint that they have to follow. This is not going to be some fly by the seat of your pants in each town. There's going to be league control of it. This is how you onboard. These are the things that you need to do to make yourself profitable, and this is how the rosters will be handled. We're going to have 36 players active, 4 on a practice squad, and we're going to make sure that this is done in the proper manner. I've taken all my experiences and expertise from the original XFL. I still have all that platform from when we put that together. And then, of course, being a head coach and general manager of the Canadian League, being in player personnel and coaching in the NFL, I'm just trying to draw bits and pieces, bring good people in with me, and then just make it all work.
Okay, well, we're following very closely. You have an open invitation to get on here. Look up Continental Football League, everybody. They're doing a great job on the website. So if I can, because we're now on U.S. television as well, a lot of NFL fans watching, Coach, let me ask you this. Who's in more trouble going into week 2 in the NFL, Bears, Lions, or Chiefs?
Bears. They just can't seem to get in step there. Obviously I don't know all the particulars of it, but they've been going through a lot of head coaches here over the last decade, and without any results. It just seems like they're spinning their tires. So there's a bigger problem there than just the coaches, and it needs to be addressed. Because you can't have that many different guys come in there and not be able to succeed. So there's something that not everybody's pulling a rope in the same direction there.
Well, Has this changed? Because I was listening this morning, Bears fans are referring to Ben Johnson, the new head coach, as Ben Eberfluss. It's been 1 week. Is there more pressure now and less patience than ever?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's never patience and coaching aren't two words that always go together. I've always said that at the pro level, you got to give a guy at minimum 3 years. At the college level, you got to give them 5 to really put in their systems, get their people. There's a refresh that needs to be done in locker rooms, and some people are afraid to do that in this day and age. And I spoke in Winnipeg a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about how, I was given a directive to clean up that locker room. And if you look at all the players that I cut, only one ended up playing in the league the next year. Nobody else got picked up. What does that tell you? And I think you have to have time then that once you start your cleaning, now you got to start putting your own furniture in. And if you don't get that shot, the optics of it aren't very good. And so with the Bears right now, there's obviously something that is in that organization's core that is just not being handled properly, because you can't have that many coaches not succeed in a row. It's crazy. There's a bigger problem there.
I think if we ask Mark Trestman about it, he might have an idea of what the answer is to that. A college football question. Who's the best team in college football right now?
Oh, shoot. When I was a little kid, the only school I ever wanted to go play for was Ohio State. And then I realized I wasn't good enough to play at Ohio State. So I played small college football in Ohio, because I think I've always felt that that's the best football in the country. And I'm not gonna waver away from that. I'm going to stay with Ohio State.
Hard to argue with a 70 burger like they put up last week, but I'm hearing LSU the most.
Yeah, those games, I have a hard time with them. I know that the opponent is getting millions of dollars to play the game, and it supports their entire athletic department. But is it really fair? Is it fair to both sides? I just don't think it is. I don't think that's what people want to see. When I was at Valdosta State, we went over and played Georgia Southern, and I think they paid us $35,000. The athletic director never gave it back to the football program. I think that was the whole budget for the softball team that year. So there's all that's involved with it. But I'd rather see teams that are actually playing each other that are on a more competitive level. And let's face it, there's levels, and Grambling is not Ohio State's level. And so why are they playing?
We only got a couple minutes, but who's your Grey Cup pick as we plow down the final third of the regular season?
Oh, you're going to do this to me, huh? Well, I'll go with the two teams that paid me. I'll go with Edmonton and Winnipeg. How's that? That way I'll stay safe. But I'm glad to see Edmonton playing better. Because at the beginning of the season, I was like, oh man, this is going to be a struggle. And now they've been able to become competitive, right the ship a little bit. Winnipeg, I don't think you can count Winnipeg out. I just don't. There's just too much experience there, too much pride, and they still have good players. And sometimes the ball just bounces funny. I still think it's, in all seriousness, I think the whole league is still up for grabs. I think anybody that can get hot here going into October, it could be a problem. And there's probably 4 or 5 teams that fit into that category.
We're probably going to have to cut you off at some point, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Can Chris 2 minutes we have. Can Chris Streveler be a number 1 in the CFL?
No, I just don't think he can deliver the ball accurately and consistently enough. I think his role is what his role is. He's a absolutely gifted athlete. There's a lot of things that he can do that he does well. But I think at the end of the day, you have to be an accurate passer, and he just hasn't proven
that. Should Caleros play again?
See that again, I'm going to, I'm on Michael Shea's side here on that thing, is that's going to be between Zach and the medical staff and his family. And anybody else's opinion doesn't matter, just does not matter. Okay, so you can say anything that you want, but that's between Zach, the physicians, and his family. And any kind of other speculation is just, you're just wasting airtime. Breathe something else.
Well, as you know, as I said about Milt, we're all in the hot take business over here in the media. So I get where Milt was coming from on that, but it doesn't matter what Milt says or I say or you say. You're right. It's about up to Zach and his wife and the doctors, and it's his decision. Coach, this was Commissioner Mike Kelly. This has been a pleasure. You know how to get a hold of me. Thanks for the time, my man.
Yeah, no, I want to drive back down and come see you sometime. And I always appreciate having time with you, Rod. I just do. I'm so comfortable with you, and I'm here for you when you need me. Okay.
Thank you, man. We'll do it again soon. Commissioner Mike Kelly, right on the button. That was the greatest show we ever did at the Beach House in Pompano Beach. We'll do another one. We'll be right back after this.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show. Hour 2 is brought to you in part by Ultimate Fan Zone. For those that are watching on television, you see it on the screen. From jerseys to trading cards, Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store is your fan cave headquarters. Visit them in Moose Jaw or click over to ultimatefanzone.ca. Well, what a lovely surprise. Joe, 747. Gunnis joining us here from Mission Control. Hey, Gunny, I could sit here and just read comments from the viewers here. Like, there's some weird, interesting things happening in the universe over the last couple of days. We got a new viewer here. Mario Ruiz is watching. He writes in and he says, the Raiders over the Chargers. Just that. Raiders over the Chargers. I think, do we want to sit here and do an NFL picking and betting show every day? I feel like we could. What do you think?
Probably could. I'm good with the Raiders over the Chargers.
Oh, I know. Well, tomorrow, by the way, we'll be doing our picks for Pump Jack's Cathedral Steakhouse and Saloon. But, Joe, let me ask you this, and I appreciate you jumping on. Fall is for football, no doubt, and we talk about all the leagues liberally here. Great chat with Mike Kelly last segment, by the way. NFL, CFL, college football, now Continental Football League. But let me ask you this since you've jumped in. Well, 2 questions. Number 1, your favorite football league is what? Be honest.
I'm still a Canadian Football League fan. Grew up with it. I mean, it's kind of indoctrinated into you. But of course, NFL is something we watch a lot. And, with things like with Mike Kelly and the Continental League and that type of thing, it'll be interesting to see how that spreads its wings, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Well, the beautiful point to that question is there's no wrong answer. The main point is that we all love football. If we have a favorite league, then that's cool. And the reason, and Joe, by the way, hosts the Ratio podcast, so he knows his way around the football microphone. I already knew the answer to the question. I wanted you to say it for everybody else. What's the game of the week in the CFL for you? And I'll refresh everybody's memory. Friday night doubleheader, Winnipeg at Hamilton. Now we know Zach Caleros won't play for the Bombers. The late game is Ottawa at BC, which I might vote for, but I got to go with Edmonton at Toronto because of mine Cody. And then Montreal at Sask is the last game of the week. What's your game of the week in the Canadian Football League?
I'm with you. I think Edmonton TO, and I really think that Edmonton can really start to make some noise with another win, right? I mean, winning last week against Calgary, getting some confidence, crowds back, as Kevin Carius was talking about yesterday, that type of stuff. I think that Edmonton can start to make some noise with a win. So I think it's the game of the week, and I think it's pivotal for the Elks to win.
Oh, it's funny how Mike Kelly said he's comfortable doing the interviews with me. I'm very comfortable doing the interviews with you. You talk about the Edmonton crowds coming back. What about the Toronto situation with the Argos? We got 2 minutes here, but on Tuesday, MLSE, the parent company that owns the Argos, announced a deal with the Buffalo Bills, and people's heads were popping off on cue, of course. But what was your take on that announcement?
I'm a marketing guy by trade, so I think this is a really good deal for both organizations. I think, and for the Bills to gain some Canadian fans and for the Argos to continue pushing their football brand there. I think it could be a good marriage.
Bill in the Queen City writes, then he says, Argos, El Camo's game of the week. Argos can make some noise with a win as well. The one thing about that deal is it kind of came out of the blue. I mean, obviously they've been meeting about it probably for months before they made that announcement, but I'm with you. What can it hurt? Like, what's the possible downside?
Yeah, I don't see a downside. I mean, continue to work together. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Okay. Coolio. Are you following the NFL enough to say what is your game of the week in the NFL? Have you even looked at the schedule yet? You're a busy guy.
I have not. I have to guilty. I have not yet this week. So, but go Commanders.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least tonight. Oh, that is your team. That's right. That's I know like 3 Commanders fans. You, AJ Jakubik and Reed Johnson of the Markcast. You guys could get together and have a fan club meeting in a phone booth if they still had phone booths. Okay, Joe. All right, Joe. Thanks for pumping on, my dude. Good to see you. Good to see you, and great job as always.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you too.
Overtime is coming up next, everybody, here on Game Plus Television.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers.
Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help.
Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Welcome back, everybody. It is overtime for our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. It's an amusement park for hockey players, as Randy and the patriarch of it said. And of course, Michelle's the brains and the beauty behind it. But golf has driving ranges. Baseball has batting cages. Why wouldn't hockey have shooting lanes? So if you love hockey, Overtime Hockey Lanes is for you. 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. And maybe coming to a city near you. That's their story to tell, not mine. Let me finish up a couple of the comments here. I was mentioning the Redskins, Commanders fans could hold a fan club meeting in a phone booth. Not that they don't have fans. I'm just saying I only know 3. AJ Jakubic, the voice of the Red Blacks, Joe and Reed Johnson, the host of the Markcast. Where is it? Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, I was just going to say, AJ's been a Washington fan his whole life. Yeah, there's not, I know 4. My friend Dean, a retired fireman in Las Vegas, is also a Redskins fan. I was saying that they could hold it in a phone booth. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in, he says, that's got me thinking, Rod, are there any phone booths around anymore? Haven't seen a phone booth, but as I was walking through Pearson Airport in Toronto last week, or on the weekend, flying home to Florida, I saw a bank of 3 payphones on the wall in Pearson. I'm like, you couldn't find something else to do with that space? James Mooner Warnicki writes in and says, yeah, there are a couple left in the hood. That I get. A couple phone booths left in the hood? Sure. Pearson International Airport in Toronto? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But not much does these days. Where are we on the sports update? Here we go, as we talked about earlier with Joe. 2 playoff teams from last season get an early measure of where they stand in the NFC as the Washington Commanders visit the Green Bay Packers tonight to open Week 2 in the NFL. The game starts at 8:15 p.m. Eastern on Amazon Prime. Both teams are coming off season-opening victories. Washington seeking to beat the Packers on the road for the first time since 1988. Washington's last win over the Packers at Lambeau was a 16-7 decision in 1986. So it's on Prime tonight. Thank God I have it. You numpties in Canada. What's it going to air on in Canada? Is it on Prime in Canada? What are the numpties watching? Or is it on one of the 87 TSN channels? The NBA is not rushing its investigation into whether a business relationship between Kawhi Leonard and a California company was legitimate or a way for the Clippers to bypass salary cap rules. Commissioner Adam Silver says the league will wait for a report from an outside firm before taking further steps. The investigation began last week after a report suggested a $28 million endorsement deal between Kawhi Leonard and a company owned by team owner Steve Ballmer circumvented league cap rules. The Clippers deny any wrongdoing and welcome the investigation. You ever talk to a cop? Everybody denies it. So talk to a cop sometime about these things. Oh, what did he say? Oh, he denied it. They all do. The sports update's brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone in Moose Jaw. Your team, your colors, your gear. Get it all at Ultimate Fan Zone sports store in Moose Jaw, or visit them online at ultimatefanzone.ca. Everybody's ordering these days, and they're just the latest. I thought I had, well, not the latest, they're the best, Ultimate Fan Zone. I had a Las Vegas Raiders cloth shopping bag. I had it right here, and I moved it for some reason. The reason I bring that up is Billy at Ultimate Fan Zone saying, your team, your colors. I was with Billy last week at our NFL kickoff party. You really should have been there, everybody. It was big fun. And I said to him, who's your number one selling gear? Which team? He said, Raiders. And I said, they're not even good. And he goes, it's the colors. It's the colors, black and silver. The fashionistas would say it goes with everything, but I'm a fan of blue. Pretty much every day you'll see me wearing blue. It's the way it is. Works out really good that we do the Panthers and Lightning podcast down here in Florida. Both teams are blue. Matches my glasses. Thank you, those that have written in and said that it is on TSN. Thank you. Because I don't know if Prime Video is even available in Canada. I'm not sure. Rich in Edmonton says lots of things don't make sense at Pearson. Oh, my God. When I was going home to Canada, and let's be honest, it will always be my home. In the springtime, there was a Stanley Cup, a huge one, like 6 feet tall, at the bottom of the escalator heading into the, I guess, the connections. And I'm like, well, that's odd. It was a Rogers display. I posted that to my social media. Somebody said, that's the only time the Stanley Cup will be in Toronto. Ooh. Harsh. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, writes in. He says, I'm taking the Commanders upset tonight as well. Lots of Packers hurt already, including Micah Parsons and his back. 3.5 points, I believe, is what I saw was the spread on this one for the Packers to win tonight at home. How lucky are they to be opening up with 2 home games in 5 days? They're probably 4 days, actually. 5 days. They're probably upset that they got 2 home games in a row. Everybody's upset. As Danny Barrett would say, that's football. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, there are pay phones at the subway and GO train stations here in Tirana. How about that? Ron's watching in Calgary. He writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, morning, Rod. Great show as usual. Got a chance to watch the Dallas Cowboys documentary. Very well done. Yes, it was. It's good that you all have been welcomed into what we always knew about the Dallas Cowboys. We're dysfunctional. It starts at the top, and we're never going to win another Super Bowl. Probably ever. So thank you to Coach Mike Kelly, now Commissioner Mike Kelly, Kevin the Medium, and Joe 747. We'll do it all tomorrow on a Football Friday.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?